Hi everyone and welcome to Future of Search, the podcast where we explore how AI and large language models are reshaping the way we think about search, SEO and digital visibility. In today's episode, I'm joined by Jérôme Salomon, technical SEO expert at Oncrawl. Jérôme has a very unique background. He started as a pop culture journalist before moving into SEO. He joined Oncrawl 5 years ago where he's now a senior SEO specialist. Jérôme recently shared something that got a lot of attention in the SEO community is being digging deep into how ChatGPT search mode select which URL to crawl into Bing search result. Through a series of deep dive analyses and by analyzing the JSON file behind ChatGPT searches, he confirmed some incredibly valuable insights about how to rank on LLM. So today we are going to dive into how log analysis helps uncover this pattern, how SEO can optimize for LLM visibility, and why going back to the basics like clean title and clear meta description is still as important as it was before in an SEO or GEO strategy. Let's start the podcast with Jérôme. Welcome to Future of Search, this new podcast. Today I am with Jérôme Salomon from Oncrawl. Jérôme, welcome to Future of Search. I'm very happy to have you here. Two French people talking English, so this will be funny for sure. Jérôme, how are you?
I'm good. Merci, Luca, for the invitation. Really happy to be there and happy to kick off this new podcast with you.
Exactly, very happy to. So, Jérôme, I'm going to present you a little bit so that the audience knows you a little bit better, but recently you have done a lot in LinkedIn and everything and made some nice discoveries about how to rank on LLM. So I'm going to share a little bit more about you. So you started SEO a long time ago because at first you were a journalist about Japanese pop culture in 2010, basically. And then you joined Oncrawl. So I'll let you maybe explain a little bit more after that about what Oncrawl do, what you are doing at Oncrawl. And basically today you are senior SEO at Oncrawl. So you will probably tell us a little bit more about this. And fun fact, you told me while we were talking a little bit before that you also have a podcast yourself,
Yes.
but not about SEO, about rap. So congrats on that.
Thank you. Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about you.
Yes. So a few words about Oncrawl. So it's a technical SEO platform. So crawler, log analyzer. It's collecting data and helping analyze this data, basically. And especially the log analysis part is interesting today because we'll discuss AI and they use bots and it's really interesting to track that. Yeah, and regarding the hip hop show I'm hosting, it's been 7 years now. And
7 years is a bit of a time.
yes,
What's the schedule? Like, is it every week or every month?
it's every 2 weeks. We play music and we discuss about it. To get back at my job at Oncrawl, what I do for this company. So I'm part of the customer success team, so helping the users, trainings, onboarding clients, and also helping the product team on working on evolutions of the platform. So pushing in the direction of tracking LLM bots and things like this.
We will talk a lot about LLM bots, how to track them, what you should track. This will be in the next part of the podcast. Before we dive in, this podcast is brought to you by Qwairy.co. Qwairy helps brands improve their visibility in AI-powered search results, whether it is ChatGPT, Perplexity, or other LLM. From prompt analysis to content auditing and strategic optimization, Qwairy is designed for teams who want to stay ahead in the age of AI-first search. So if you are a CMO, Chief Marketing Officer, and Head of SEO looking to future-proof your brand presence in large language model, check out Qwairy.co and you get 100 credits for free. Let's start the podcast. And I'm wondering about that, Jerome. I have a first question. You know, the world of SEO in general, the world of search in general is evolving a lot today. What is the plan that you have at Oncrawl? How is Oncrawl evolving with the rise of LLMs and AI-driven search?
I think there are two sides of those generative AIs. One side is the SEO perspective, so how to be in there, how to have a citation, how to be visible in those platforms, because slowly people are moving from Google to this platform. And the other side is using that technology as a way of automating things and going further. So we also use that technology in some new features that will come out. And on the other hand, like we are working on the tracking of those bots. So yeah, the two sides. And I guess SEO, that's what the SEO community has been doing. At first, it was really about how do you use LLMs to create content, to automate your process. And now we see more and more things about how to get a citation, how to be visible on those platforms.
I think it's something that's very important, and we do the same. We do the same, not exactly, but we work a lot about this on my tool Qwairy. And indeed, I think the question today for years, the SEO community, our job was being present over 10 blue links and get traffic. That was always the goal, was getting traffic. And I think here there's really a new paradigm that comes out with AI search, is that I don't think you will get as much traffic as Google sent for years. This is we have to forget this, but you have to be present as a brand. If someone comes, you need a new mic, for example, to record the podcast, and you're going to ask an LLM, you're going to ask ChatGPT, what's the best mic for recording podcast? That's where Blue Yeti, this brand, has to be. It's a very new paradigm, and the SEO community has to adapt on this, I think.
And I think the challenge is that you mentioned how to choose a mic for a podcast. You do your search on ChatGPT, but maybe you don't trust that results that much, and then you will switch to Google and do some research, and then go to Amazon to try to find the best price. And in the end, when you buy your mic, the shop doesn't know what is the funnel, the full funnel. They don't know you started in ChatGPT or if you went to Google. So the tracking and the attribution of the sales, because people will keep buying, people will keep searching, but we will lose the whole tracking system that was in place and the attribution. So this is going to be a challenge, really.
We're going to talk about this, the podcast, and I have a good anecdote on this. I was reading something recently, and I think that's something that was really interesting. And just for the audience, just saying a little bit more about future of search. So the goal is to talk in general about LLMs, how to rank on ChatGPT, whatever, how the work we do in terms of content, of media, can contribute to ranking better on LLM in general. Today, we decided with Jérôme to have 3 different parts. The first part, we will really talk about the technical foundations and the LLM positioning in general, and talking about some discoveries that Jérôme made recently that he shared on LinkedIn with all the community. So thank you for that. Second part, we will talk about really how to position a brand in LLM, what we know at least. And then we will conclude with the last part on the podcast, which will be a bit of a debate between Jerome and me about the future of search, and how this world will evolve in the future. So let's start with technical foundation and LLM positioning. Jerome, recently you made some great discoveries about how LLM works. Can you tell us a bit more about what you discovered about how LLM works, and let's start with that.
Yes. So I made lots of research on ChatGPT, especially. First, because it's also the one that has the widest user number, the more requests, etc. And I wanted to give also a bit of a backstory from this LinkedIn post. So at first, I was really interested in understanding the bots, ChatGPT bots. And this brought me to understanding how the search feature of ChatGPT is actually working. So when you send a prompt, it can trigger the search feature, because LLMs, they have an end date, a knowledge cutoff, basically. So for example, since the latest update of the model, ChatGPT knows data until June 24. So if you ask something about something recent,
Football game yesterday.
Exactly. Located research or very niche things, it's going to trigger automatically the search feature, or you can trigger it manually as well. And this is to avoid the LLMs to hallucinate and create better response. And it's involving search. So what happens is there are many steps. So what I discovered first is what the steps are. And also I discussed with the OpenAI support team to get some answers and verify some of the intuitions I had. So first, the prompt is transformed into queries, multiple queries. So the query fan-out process that actually Google is also using. So it might be 2 queries, 3, 4, depending on the size of the prompt, the complexity. Those queries, they are then sent to a third-party search engine. So officially it's Bing, but we'll discuss maybe this a bit more in details. And then the LLM is getting SERPs, search results, with a URL title, a snippet, which can be the meta desk but not always. Depends on what the search engine does for this specific query. Also, you have sometimes metadata, including the publishing date or the type of documents, if it's a PDF, things like this. Really depends on what you're getting, but also the domain, which is related to the URL, of course. Here's a list. This is actually what you see as sources. Some are citations. And so for the source to become a citation, ChatGPT will select one of the search results and it will send ChatGPT user bot, which is the bot that represents the user, and it's going to crawl in real time to fetch the content, so get the text and include as a citation. And what I discovered is that the choice is made. So it's a system prompt with instruction telling ChatGPT how to behave. And so he's using as main criteria title, snippet, publishing date, and the domain authority. But keep in mind, it's a LLM, it's a model. So for him, it's just text. You feed him text and you tell him select the most relevant part. And so he needs to guess what is behind this result. So to find the best page to crawl, because he cannot afford to crawl 20 results. So he's going to crawl maybe 4, 5. We don't know. We actually don't know. Sometimes it can be just one, because if you put the URL chat, he might just crawl that one. And he needs to guess what's behind to crawl it and find the relevant content. So the goal is really to have a relevant answer to your prompt. So that's the full process. Of course, there are many blockers. You need to be indexed in a search engine first, so in Bing, but maybe Google as well. We'll discuss this.
We'll discuss that.
You need to have a great title, but sometimes your title and your meta desk are rewritten by the search engine anyway. You need fresh content because the publishing date also. And authority, it means that the LLM model already knows your website as being of authority based on the training data. So way before when the model was trained on data from internet, if your brand didn't exist, there is less chance that your website will be crawled, of course. And to study this, I used the conversation JSON file that is behind your chat with ChatGPT. And actually, I'm not the one who found this JSON file. It was the first person who told me about it is John Campbell. I did a webinar with him. But what I did is study this JSON file, discuss with the support team, and find some interesting stuff on how it's working. So, and also this JSON file is changing over time. So when I first look at it, there was no search query in it. So we knew there was a search query, but it was not publicly available. Now it's available, and this is what I guess made the whole content viral when I posted on LinkedIn. Because
maybe the first time we discovered that we can know which search query are typed by the LLM.
Yes, yeah. And I think, and since then, it's been crazy on LinkedIn, like lots of mention, and I'm really happy about how people how about the SEO community, how it likes digging into the data and going further, building bookmarklets, Chrome extensions, and doing other studies, trying the same process with Gemini, AI mode, etc. So really cool.
Yeah, I felt like 10 to 15 years ago again, when we knew very few things about SEO, and some people were testing things, sharing it, and you were reusing it. At the time, it was rarely on LinkedIn. It was mostly on blogs or this kind of thing, but I really felt like that again, yeah. And something, tell me, I have 3 things to ask you. The first thing is just if someone from the audience wants to know this JSON file, tell me if I'm wrong, but basically if you are on a Chrome plugin, you do a search on ChatGPT with search activated, click right, inspect, and then you can find it in the elements, right?
Yeah, so manual way of doing it is this process. So you need to be logged in. You create the chat with the first prompt. You inspect, you reload the page, and you go to the network tab, and you will find a file, an XHR file with the ID that is in the URL, the ID of the chat. And you have a JSON file that is formatting everything that is visible. but also things that are not visible actually, which is the best part. And it's working even if there is no search, but then there will be no search query and no search result. It will just be your question and the answer from the model, and maybe things like I don't know, like the model being used and different details. Actually, you can do that in bulk. You can export all your conversation and you will have the same JSON, but one big JSON with all your conversation. So it's hard to read. And then you can find on internet some very useful bookmarklets, Chrome extensions that do the job for you of parsing the JSON to just get the information you need. So keywords, so how the prompt is transformed into keywords. Also the reasoning of the model. So because the model is like you're typing a prompt and then he's like writing what he needs to do and what's the objective and the intent. So it's also interesting to do that. And then the search results that are being used or not used as a citation.
I think we will put in the description the bookmarklet, and that brings me to another question. You know, I've tested a lot, obviously, and most of the time when I search something, what I see is that the query that ChatGPT is adding is always with 2025 at the end. You know, like I'm asking, what's the best car? What's the best electric car for my family? And basically after that, if I check the query in the JSON file, it's best electric car 2025, electric car review 2025, this kind of queries.
Yeah. So I think a great test would be to test a lot of prompts and try to find, I don't know, maybe somebody's already doing a study like this, and I'm curious to see what will come out, but there are some patterns, and I guess we need to think about what ChatGPT objective is, just like we do with Google. So he wants to make sure there is no doubt about the intent. So of course you want recent results. So to get recent results, adding the date or the year is a great way to get search results that will contain the answer on the web. And other things like this, like let's say the car Jaguar, it can be an animal, it can be a car. So you probably add the word car if you understand. And also the LLM knows the context. So he has your memory, he can have your location, and this is also sent to the search engine. If you speak in French, what's funny is going to translate in English, but it's also going to say, in the end, I want French results. And then it's going to get back in French in the answer. So.
Interesting. Yeah.
And all those things you can study yourself. The hardest part is that we still don't know what users are prompting.
Yeah. But I think for the audience, just like, you know, like, well, we will talk about this a little bit more in the second part, but really thinking about like basically what your client might search on an LLM, and from there using a bookmarklet that we will put in the description to see the query fan out process and seeing what actually the LLM is searching. I think this is already doing more than what we knew until 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, you know?
Yeah, I guess, I mean, now we have a tool. We have a tool with more information. We could do that on ChatGPT test, like people are using Google as a main tool to do SEO. We can use ChatGPT as a main tool as well. But now we see a lot more things.
Yeah.
But I'm curious to know when it stops or if we will get more information.
Yeah. We have already some points about this, particularly the point of ChatGPT searching on Google, but I want to keep that for the second part. Before that, just one last thing. You talk about the domain authority. So basically ChatGPT, when they do the query fan out process in this JSON file, you can find a domain authority. What is it exactly? Can you tell us a little more about this?
Yes. So when I asked the support team, so I told them, you are getting search results. So ChatGPT is getting search results from the third-party tool. Some of them are being crawled by ChatGPT user. I see in the JSON file that we have those 4 information. Does it mean that those are the 4 criteria to select? Because there is no other things to select. And they confirm that it's actually this. And domain authority, I mean, there is no scoring. There is no backlinks. It doesn't exist in the eyes of this LLM model. It's not Google. There is no PageRank system. He's not crawling the whole web. So it's exactly the same as prompting ChatGPT and telling him, I just want
domain authority. Authority
domain with authority. Domain with authority. I just want domain I can trust, and the model is going to answer. How does the domain know what authority means, trust means, just because of training data? So this means that the key is digital PR.
Yeah.
If people are talking about your domain, if you have links to your domain in articles, then this data has been fed to the LLM. You have a domain of authority. Also, like lots of articles of on SEO around domain authority, they mentioned that .gov are domains of authority, Wikipedia, I mean, sources that you can trust. And the LLM knows this just like somebody who is learning SEO knows this. But no ranking system, no Majestic, no.
Yeah, not yet, at least.
Yeah, not yet, for sure.
But it's, just like for the audience, it's not the domain authority from Moz, or at least from what we know, but it's something built basically by the model. And I think you said something very interesting is that now, for example, backlinks in general, it's not only getting a link from an important website, it's getting mentioned. And the more your brand is mentioned on the web, the more you get chance to be visible in ChatGPT, particularly if you are mentioned in the sources that, or at least the corpus that was used at first. And overall, if you are present on the web, this will help you definitely become the answer. You know, it's not more ranking, it's becoming the answer.
And just to finish on that, maybe, so for example, Perplexity, which is not a model, it's more like a search engine powered by LLM. They have specific guidelines of what a trusted source is. So they decided to partner with some medias they trust, some sources. So they have a clear definition. ChatGPT also has some media partners. Like we know for the French medias that they work with Le Monde, they have a partnership. So of course it's going to be a trusted source by default, and also a source that is likely to get a citation. So it's also going further than this. It's also partnership that is involved.
Totally. And actually, I did a study recently with all the data we have on Qwairy.co. And Le Monde is among top 10 sources from ChatGPT, over 30,000 queries I think we analyzed. So that's really a good point. If you can be present in their big source, the media they partners with will probably help you to rank better on that. I want to talk a little bit about the logs, you know, because that's also something you really know very well. It's one of your specialty at Oncrawl, so it would be a pain if we don't talk about logs with you. At first, can you tell me, I'm a CMO, I want to check a bit my logs. What should I do? What should I follow? What are the different bots that exist? What are the different AI bots? Can you do some kind of a summary for that?
So first, like logs and log analysis is gold for SEO even before AI. So for Google, it was already gold because you could check crawl budget. So being able to know that these pages are being visited by Google, how often, and this part of your website is not visited. Is that an issue? Is that on purpose? Google is spending time on your pagination. Is it worth it? Things like this, you know, really understanding the behavior and how it affects indexation, especially, and ranking. For AI, it's not the same rules anymore. Multiple bots, multiple roles, different from one LLM to another one, different from one bot to another one. So I put them into three categories. The ones that are training models. Basically, it's the three categories from ChatGPT. So training the model, I said it at first. So those bots, they were collecting data. This data was then cleaned by data analysts and scientists to train the models. And for example, that's ChatGPT bot. That's also common crawler bot, which is a common database for LLMs they can buy data from this. It's a cheap data and not so clean. So you need to rework it. And then you have two bots, usually a duo for the search feature. I mentioned the ChatGPT user that is interacting in the place of the users. You have the same for Perplexity, for Claude, for Mistral, probably, maybe not Gemini because it's Google. They don't need to crawl the content. They're already doing it. So those bots, they crawl your website live in real time when somebody is prompting and you need to search. So this happens. Like, let's say I ask about an information that is really timely sensitive. It's going to perform a search and it's going to crawl some results to include in the answer live. So if this bot visits your website, it means you are in the sources. of the answer. And you're likely to get a quote as well. Only if your server answers in time and in 200. So the bot can read your content. And then the third part is like more like Google search bots that are here to either create an index like Perplexity search bot, or to improve the search model like OpenAI search bot. So, but if you block one of those two, the search ones or the user ones, you cannot be in the search feature. You cannot be cited. You will be mentioned in if search is deactivated because of the model, knowing your brand and. But yeah, this also means that you can block the training model and still be included in search. Study from SEMrush in November 24 said that it's like it's 47% of prompt with search. So almost one on two, which is a lot on ChatGPT. Maybe it's evolving. We'll see. But if you're media and you don't want Google to crawl your content, ChatGPT to train on your content, you can. But if you activate the search, you can get a quote and you can get traffic.
Yeah. Interesting, because that's a question that many people ask, like many of my clients. They're like, we are producing content, original content, and at the end of the day, we see that ChatGPT comes to our website, gets the content, and then our competitor, basically, they can just copy and even write it the same way, So that's a good question.
Yeah. That's the tricky question.
Yeah. And I think there's something else that you said that's very interesting, and that's also what Oncrawl is for. It's that when ChatGPT comes, your server needs to respond, your page needs to load. You shouldn't have too many 404, because otherwise, this is just even basic SEO, or at least basic site cleaning. What are, in your opinion, the best technical practice to be featured in LLMs, ChatGPT, or Perplexity?
So you need to start with all the blockers step by step. So first blocker is to not be indexed on Bing and Google, of course. If you're indexed, you will be in the search results. A second blocker is that the bots, they don't do the JavaScript rendering. Mm-hmm. So you need to have your content available in the DOM. So the bot needs to be able to read the content. On that point, they have strategies to get the content even if page is not is in JavaScript, is not readable. Mm-hmm. Another blocker is, of course, the robot.txt and the WAF proxies that can block those bots from reading the content. So if you unblock all those steps, and then the last blocker is the server response time. You need to be fast because, like I said, they're doing this in real time for the user bots. So you are in competition against other websites. Let's say there is a prompt list of 20 results. He's going to select 4. He only needs 2 quotes. The 2 that are answering the faster will get the quote, and it will cut the connection to the others because he needs to answer fast. You need a user experience for ChatGPT users that is fast. They cannot wait for the search process to be too long, especially on the model, the basic models. On the other hand, like deep search features and things like this are a bit longer, and it's not an issue. But really, like for the live answers, server response time is key. So yeah, and then it's about having the relevant content. That's what they want, but that's the hardest part, to guess what is relevant.
Yeah, and what I have many points on that too. Great, I think there's a lot of answers in there. I think we can jump to the second part to talk a little bit more like, I'm a CMO, I'm a head of SEO, my brand is not featured enough in LLMs when people search for the best car, the best surfboard. What can I do, So I'm going to ask the first question in your opinion. What's the most actionable way to increase brand presence inside LLM like ChatGPT?
Yes. So, there is no magical recipe. But like I said, most actionable things is to unlock all the blockers I mentioned before. That's the starting point. And you need to test. So there are simple tests to see first if your content is even available. You can just say, okay, is this quote in this article, and copy paste the page.
On
See if
ChatGPT.
the LLM, on ChatGPT or whatever, Perplexity, Claude, Mistra, etc. If it's able to answer, he will tell you, and he will likely tell you where it is in the page. If not, it's simply going to say, I don't have access to this page. I didn't find any information on the web. And actually what it does is not crawling the pages, but sending a request, a query with a cite, two dots, the URL plus the query. And this is how, so shout out to Alexis Rilko, who found out by doing tests that actually like OpenAI might be moving to Google instead of Bing because of studying this. So yeah, most actionable things is to unlock all those steps, making sure first LLM has access to your content. And then at each step, you can troubleshoot until you are in the sources for the prompt, etc. First, if your SEO is not good, it's likely to be the first blocker also. So don't neglect your fundamental SEO practice. And then there is a lot of test and learn. Maybe the thing is, like, on my side, I'm helping customers and I'm not really doing the SEO myself. Maybe on your side, you did some tests and you had some results. I'm curious to know.
Yeah, definitely. It's a very good question. I think, the first thing I did, like recently, I was working on with a company selling surfboards. And so basically we thought, okay, what can people search potentially on ChatGPT? And the first thing that came out was, what's the best surfboard for beginner, and some brands were mentioned. Actually, Decathlon, the French board, the French company was mentioned a lot because they're very present. They have a lot of pages on the web and everything. And then what we decided to analyze at the time was the sources that was used, and the website was like nana17.0.com, something like that. So I was very surprised to see such a domain, I was like, why this domain is ranking? And actually it's quite a good domain. And we analyzed why this content was surfaced. And the thing is that the first thing we saw is that they answer very fast to every question, So basically in their content, almost at the beginning, there's the question, what's the best surfboard for beginner? And the answer is with 3 dots, First dot, this is the best one, second one, third one. So I think this is a content that is very easy for an LLM to digest, It's not like beginning of the article, 10 advice to choose, No, it's directly the answer, and the answer is presented in a way that's very digestible for LLMs, So that was the first thing, and then the other thing was also that this website was very minimalist. There was not JavaScript flashy on the left, on the right. No, it was really content. And actually, this was well presented for users. Sometimes I think we overcomplicate articles or blog articles, but actually a blog article that is white, black font, easy to read, right size, you don't need more than that, So you optimize for user, but still the answer was given very fast to the LLM, and I think it was very easy to digest,
Yeah, those are great insights we can get. And actually, just to complete, like my first intuitions of knowing what the LLM wants is simply test some prompt, and using this JSON conversation file, what list of URLs getting a quote, list of URLs ranking, getting results, but not being cited. What's the difference between them? Like you can compare the content, and you will see what is good enough and what is not good enough for the LLM.
I think, at the end of the day, it comes back to the way we have been, like the process we have in SEO. We can still use them and just adapt them a little bit, SEO, you would start working with a client, you would do a keyword research. Well, now it's a prompt research, and you just have to understand that people will search a bit differently. Technical SEO, well, you will check 404 logs, this kind of thing. You should still do the same process for an LLM. There are some difference, but still, the process is the same and you should still apply it. Backlinks, it's still there,
backlinks,
but differently.
Yeah, and it still has an impact because of the mentions and because of ranking as well. Anyway, in the search, and I'm in the team that believes it's still SEO. So I didn't change my LinkedIn profile to say I'm a geo expert. But yeah, it's just SEO, but we need to adapt for sure. We need to learn the new rules, but it's still SEO.
Totally. And there was this discovery. Well, actually, it came out this week. Well, I think the podcast will be online not this week. We need some work on our side. But you said different time during the beginning of the podcast that, well, officially ChatGPT is using Bing results, but actually there were some findings that it seems like ChatGPT is using Google's results more and more. Can you tell us a little bit more about this?
Yeah, so I mentioned this quickly earlier. So Alexis Rilko did some tests while we were working together on another webinar. And the question was to understand whether they can do the JavaScript rendering. And what he did is do a comparison between title snippets available in the JSON conversation and the ones available on Bing and Google for the query that are listed in this same JSON conversation. And I did the study on multiple prompts and found out that it's likely to be Google instead. So they quietly shifted. And a funny fact, a couple weeks ago, actually 2 weeks ago, I asked ChatGPT support team what they will do when Bing's search API is going to retire, is going to be stopped this summer. They told me they will keep the same quality and it will not affect. So they didn't tell me anything. But yeah, for sure, it might also explain this. Mm-hmm. So maybe we'll discover official announcement in a couple days or weeks, or maybe it's something that they do, but it's not. It's unofficial. They are scraping. I don't know. Maybe it's a partnership. Maybe not. Yeah. So really interesting, and that's why we need to keep digging, because what we discover is just a starting point, and for sure things are changing fast.
Yeah, I talked about a little bit before this study that we did with Qwairy about over 30,000 queries that were added to some LLM, particularly ChatGPT. And actually, when you look at the sources, Google comes among the first sources, because basically you have maps, you have Google Maps, you have Google Shopping and all this. So there was a lot of time, some URL coming from Google that were coming from there. So Google is not dead, definitely. That's something I never believed about. And, I think something for the audience that's important too, it's the relevance, the term relevance that you used a lot. And Google was always fighting for relevance. This is why they win at the search engine game, because they were the most relevant. You can just try one search on Bing and one search on Google. Most of the time, the answer is better on Google. But the thing is that ChatGPT, for maybe the first time in history, they are a real competitors in terms of relevance to Google, And I think this is why also they developed the RAG, Retrieval Engine, Retrieval Augmented Generation, because they want to be more relevant, So obviously, having content from 2025, even if their corpus is stopping on 2024, this is important for them. And so another point is that fresh content is important to them, and particularly signals like the date, you said it's available on the JSON file, or even the title, having 2025 in the title can help you rank and showcase a little bit more on ChatGPT.
Yeah, and we see already some SEOs doing tests and finding quick wins and some hacks of and also introducing prompt instruction hidden in the text, doing lots of tests like this. I believe things like this, of course, the freshness of the content, etc. This is going to still be key. But all the small hacks, at some point, because people are doing SEO, the quality goes down for the users, they will find ways of improving and changing the rules. So yeah, of course they will fix it at some point.
Yeah, definitely. Great. So I think we're gonna jump to the last part, which is future of search. You said before that you were not in the team changing SEO to GEO, and I think I've read recently you wrote like SEO fundamentals still apply. The platforms are evolving fast. In your opinion, what's next for ChatGPT? You know, how it will evolve in your opinion?
Yes, hard question. Also, I need to maybe we need to say to the non-French audience that in France we are also the last one to have the deployments of the latest evolutions. We still don't have AI overviews, AI mode. ChatGPT shopping is still not there, so we are late to test things. Because of regulation that are protecting us, maybe, or some constraints for those platforms. For ChatGPT, what I read is that just like some social media platform, they want to be the first way we use to access internet. You see, I think that's the key goal. And so, like, you don't open a browser anymore. Like, you open ChatGPT and you can do everything.
Yeah.
I guess that's what they're trying to do. And this is what Facebook Meta tried to do. And search is evolving. Like, people are looking for restaurants and how-to things on TikTok.
On LLMs.
They go straight to YouTube. You don't look for music on Google anymore. Like, you go to your streaming platform. So I guess it's going this direction. But until then, people like us, who still use internet as their job, and we will keep doing search and on multiple platforms, and there will be multiple ways and ways to be found.
Yeah, I think what you say is that basically search is getting more fragmented, you know,
Yes.
where we used to have a search engine that was literally owning the game, and now, well, it's not only Google, it's also, well, YouTube belongs to Google, but still you search there. It's also searching on TikTok, like you said. And you know, I was surprised the other time we were on a weekend with my mom, and actually she searched on ChatGPT to know where there was a good coffee in the place. You know, she was like, yeah, but you know, most of the time it's more relevant, so I'm searching on ChatGPT. You know, and I think there are new rules. You know, people are testing new things, using new things. It's changing a little bit. And what I have seen from the evolution of ChatGPT particularly is that even though they said for a long time, we don't want to copy Google's model and everything. Well, at the end of the day, today, this market of search is so big. They launched ChatGPT shopping. They launched search on the web. So at the end, they are trying to own that space too.
Yeah, sure.
All right. Perfect. Thank you very much, Jérôme. It was very good time with you. Really enjoyed. We're gonna have a lot to share. Do you want to maybe say some last word about Oncrawl, the evolution? If people want to contact you, how they can contact you?
Yeah. So first, Luca, really happy that I did this podcast with you. I was a listener of your other podcast, thanks for the invite. Super cool topic. I like talking about it. People can just reach out on LinkedIn. Regarding Oncrawl, we are working on new dashboards to make the tracking of the bots in the logs easier and telling a story and not only about data, so that what I mentioned about the different kinds of bots is easier to understand, things like this. Last thing, I will be at Brighton SEO in October. I will do a talk, so really happy to go back to Brighton, and maybe I will meet some of you there.
Yeah.
And
what's the topic of the talk?
AI bots, same topic. Hopefully, I have new things to share. No, I'm kidding. Like, I'm working on it, and it will be. So since we discover new things all the time, it's going to be great.
Definitely.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye bye.
Bye bye.